Good evening, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. 10 days after the defense headquarters announced the recapture of Damasak town in Borno State from Boko Haram, members of the sect have reportedly struck the town again, kidnapping over 400 women and children. A resident of the town, Suleiman Ali, who spoke with Reuters news agency, said the sect members killed about 50 people before abducting the women and children. A 40-year-old resident who gave her name as Fana said the insurgents had rounded up captives in the main mosque before taking them out of the town. She said she saved 2 of her children by hiding them in her own house. The attack has not yet been confirmed by Nigerian troops. Meanwhile, troops from Niger and Chad last week found the bodies of at least 70 people in an apparent execution site near a bridge leading out of Damasak, where the streets remain strewn with debris and burnt-out cars after the fighting to liberate the town. A federal high court in Abuja has adjourned all the suits challenging the eligibility of presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, General Muhammadu Buhari, till April 22nd and 23rd, 2015. Justice Adeniyi Ademola on Wednesday fixed the date after dismissing applications by 2 intended parties to join the suit as defendants. The consolidated suit was initially scheduled to be held on Tuesday. The judge's ruling ends numerous speculations that the APC candidate might be barred from participating in Saturday's presidential election. One of the suits against Buhari was instituted by one Okafor, challenging Buhari's eligibility to contest the presidential election. He claimed that the APC presidential candidate perjured by allegedly claiming to have attached his academic qualifications to the INEC form he filled, even though he did not do so. As part of efforts to ensure adequate security in the forthcoming general elections across all the federation on Saturday, 28 March 2015 and 11th April 2015, the Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, has ordered the restriction on vehicular movements. In a statement released by the spokesperson of the Nigerian Police Force, Emmanuel Ojukwu, the police boss said the restrictions would be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. except for ambulances, fire service trucks and other essential duties. Consequently, travelers and citizens who intend to use roads on these days and on hours are advised to plan alternative times for their traveling. Ojukwu said the IGP has assured that the adequate security logistics and manpower are strategically deployed to achieve a most conducive electioneering atmosphere in Nigeria. Days before Nigeria's presidential elections are set to hold, the federal government has announced the closure of all land and sea borders. The Ministry of Interior Affairs, in a statement, made the announcement on Wednesday. The permanent secretary of the ministry, Abubakar Magaji, said all borders will effectively be closed from midnight, March 25th to midnight Saturday, March 28th. Magaji said the closure is to allow peaceful conduct of the forthcoming general election. A directive has been given to the Nigerian Immigration Service to ensure that non-Nigerians do not participate in the elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it has accredited 107 domestic and international observers to monitor the general elections slated for March 28 and April 11, 2015. Among the accredited observers are embassies of 11 foreign nations of the United States of America, Switzerland, Britain, Germany, France, Japan, Canada, Ireland, Australia, Ghana, and the Republic of Korea. The Commission listed 14 international and regional organizations as part of the accredited observers. The remaining 82 observers are domestic groups. Nigeria's presidential governorship and parliamentary polls are expected to be the most tightly contested since military rule ended in 1999. Opposition party, the All Progressives Congress, has urged Nigerians to come out en masse to vote on election day and remain at polling stations until their votes are counted. The issue of whether voters should stay back at polling stations after casting their votes has generated much argument after the head of the country's police, that is Suleiman Abba, said people should go home after casting their ballots. He has since reversed himself, and the APC is now reinforcing the message asking people to stay back and protect their votes.
Now, as Nigerians go to the polls on Saturday, we urge them to do so peacefully but resolutely. Irrespective of the conflicting signals from the police, they should not just vote but stay behind to defend their votes. Recall that the police first said Nigerians should vote and go home, and later reversed itself and said voters may stay back after casting their votes. This confusion is aimed at confusing the voters. As we said earlier, voters should ignore the unlawful order from the IGP, urging them to go home after casting their ballots. Voters should rather listen to the INEC chairman, Professor Atairu, who said the electoral law does not state anywhere that voters cannot or should not wait to watch and ensure that their votes are counted. We are therefore urging the electorate to make sure they stay behind to protect their votes after casting their ballots, as was the case in 2011. On a lighter note, we have received support from unusual quarters on this issue. First Lady President Jonathan has also asked Nigerians to ignore the police directive and defend their votes. At least on this issue, we and the First Lady are on the same page.
A federal high court sitting in Lagos has ordered the Nigerian Communications Commission and 5 others to pay the All Progressives Congress a sum of 500 million naira over unlawful shutting down of its presidential campaign fundraising platform. Apart from the NCC, the other judgment debtors are Etisalat, MTN Nigeria Limited, Globalcom Limited, Airtel Nigeria Limited and Visafone Communications Limited. The presiding judge, Justice Ibrahim Buba, on Tuesday held that the shutting down of the APC presidential campaign platform by the respondents was unlawful and constituted an infringement on the party's fundamental rights. APC had accused the NCC of instructing the second and sixth respondents to discontinue an SMS platform it created for the purpose of getting donations from willing members of the public for its presidential campaign. In determining the case on Tuesday, Buba dismissed the respondents' objection to APC's claim, but instead of 25 billion naira damages sought by the political party, the judge awarded 500 million against all the defendants. The hearing will come up about a month again after the election. Here is how the spokesperson for the APC, Laihu Mohammed, reacted to the court ruling.
If the courts have again ruled that the government, that the military has no business on election day, there will be the third court ruling on it. And these rulings by 2 federal high courts have been affirmed by the Court of Appeal. And as of today, we are not aware that it has been appealed by the federal government. So the question is the government going to obey these rulings? It's not going to obey these rulings. If it's not going to obey the rulings, then it has continued its culture of impunity. 2, as the readiness of our party for the elections, we are ready way before even February 14. We haven't ready here today. But you should ask INEC how prepared they are. You should ask INEC to reassure us that electoral materials will get to polling booths ahead of election day. They should assure Nigerians of the safety and security of these electoral materials. They should assure Nigerians that the card readers will work. They should assure Nigerians that every Nigerian who is eligible to vote, who has a PVC, will not only be allowed to vote, but his vote will count.
The People's Democratic Party governorship candidate in Lagos State, Jimmy Agbodji, says in order to meet the growing demand for accommodation in Lagos, he will make the cost of land virtually free if elected governor. Agbodji said this at a fundraising dinner in Lagos. He said Lagos had a housing deficit of over 2 million and his target was to ensure that at least 200,000 housing units are built yearly. The PDP candidate admitted that Governor Babatunde Fashola had worked in several areas but maintained that Lagos would have experienced transformation if not for what he calls invested interests. He also says he would cancel the controversial Lekki-Epe toll gate if elected into office come February 14. The All Progressives Congress has accused the Jonathan administration of being wasteful and corrupt. Party spokesman Lai Mohammed at a press conference in Lagos accused President Jonathan of bribing potential voters with huge amounts of money for their votes.
Never in the history of our country has a president superintended over such a morally repugnant act as the massive bribery of Nigerians in recent times, especially in the 6 weeks for which elections were cunningly postponed. We make bold to say that no president has ever encouraged bribery and corruption as President Goodluck Jonathan has done by ferreting public funds into the pockets of a few in the desperation to woo voters. What the president has done by winning voters with money amounts to undermining democracy, an action that is unbecoming of a democratically elected leader of any country. According to the information in the public domain, an immense amount of money, some as high as $250,000, was given to various people, traditional rulers, youths, entertainers, market women, ethnic militias, and artisans. If the money being recklessly given away from the public treasury, the implication is that they want to loot the treasury to such a level that when they eventually lose the elections, the next government will have no money to spend. If they say the bribe is not from the public treasury, then where is it from? If the money being nonchalantly frittered away is the president's personal money, where did he get that kind of money from?
We'll take a short break now. When we come back, News Now will continue.
Honorable Victor Osei is a great man. Before you can find somebody, a politician, to bring out of his money to be sponsoring people with disability, and let me tell you, it's going to be hard because we know what our politicians use their money for.
Victor Osei is like a Madiba to wheelchair basketball Nigeria. So he has really done a lot of things and development, and it makes us have a lot of international players. He has sponsored us to some international tournaments, and he has used his life to contribute immensely for the disability persons. And we are seeing the outputs because a lot of people from the lead to the end from his tournament is changing their lifestyles.
Since Victor Osei came in, it's been one success story and the other. I couldn't imagine that somebody of that caliber could have a soft spot. Oh, I don't know, he has a large heart.
Welcome back to business. The Central Bank of Nigeria has expressed concern at the growing practice of trading goods and services in foreign currencies instead of the naira in Nigeria. Speaking at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja Tuesday, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele said it is illegal for landlords or school proprietors to demand rents or fees in dollars while transacting their businesses in foreign currencies. The CBN governor, who spoke on efforts to check the pressures on the naira as a result of the unnecessary demands for foreign exchange, said steps must be taken to prevent the dollar dominating the country's economy. Emefiele denied prioritizing the sale of foreign exchange to foreign investors, explaining that all such transactions on a daily basis were only to people with effective demand in line with its policy. The CBN governor also called on commercial banks in the country to take appropriate measures to check the impartial dollarization of the nation's currency. He expressed optimism that the naira would rebound after the elections. Oil prices rose Wednesday as the euro strengthened against the dollar following a boost in business morale in the eurozone's top two economies. The euro was up 0.6% against the dollar, the currency in which the crude oil futures trade. The dollar lost 0.5% against a basket of currencies, making dollar-traded commodities more attractive for holders of other currencies. Brent crude oil was up 74 cents at $55.85 a barrel. Light crude oil was up 35 cents at $47.86 per barrel. Germany, which is Europe's largest economy, saw business morale rise for the fifth month in a row in March, hitting its highest since July 2014. Climate index has showed. Business morale also rose in France to its highest for nearly 3 years. To international stories now. The German, French and Spanish leaders arrived together in the French Alps to visit the scene where a Germanwings plane crashed, killing all 150 people on board. Angela Merkel, Francois Hollande and Mariano Rajoy Wednesday were briefed on the rescue of the plane a day after Germanwings flight 9525 slammed into a remote corner of the French Alps. The cause of the crash remains a mystery as one of the black box recorders has been recovered at the site near Dini. The plane was flying from Barcelona to Düsseldorf when it crashed after an 8-minute rapid descent. Investigators are still searching for the second black box, which is the second flight box. The Islamic State militants in Iraq have killed a man and a woman parading their bodies in a public square in the northern city of Mosul. According to witnesses and an Iraqi military official, the couple were stoned to death on charges of adultery in Iraq. Witnesses also said that the victims were not identified but were in their 20s, describing the woman as being married. They were the latest in a series of public executions of people accused of social crimes in the city which ISIS wrestled from Iraqi control last June. The stoning was confirmed by an Iraqi military officer, Colonel Ahmed al-Jabouri, who is stationed at the Neve Liberation Camp east of Mosul. Local residents said there had been more than a dozen executions by stoning since the militants began the practice in Mosul last June. To sports stories now. UEFA President Michel Platini has been re-elected for a third four-year term at the helm of European football. Platini, who was re-elected unopposed by the delegates from UEFA's 54-member national associations at the annual Congress held in Vienna on Tuesday, proudly proclaimed European soccer's governing body to be the best. At the ceremony, Sepp Blatter sat through the day-long proceedings as a guest and had to endure some stinging criticism from his challengers for the FIFA presidency, who were invited to make presentations to delegates. In many ways, the day summed up the differing fortunes between sports European and world governing bodies. While UEFA has basked in the financial successes of the Champions League, FIFA has been hit by a wave of corruption scandals over the last few years. Liverpool defender Martin Skrtel will serve a 3-match ban after an independent football association disciplinary panel rejected his appeal against a violent conduct charge. The Slovak stood on David De Gea in the last second of Liverpool's 2-1 home defeat by Manchester United at Anfield on Sunday. The incident was missed at the time by referee Martin Atkinson. The 30-year-old Skrtel said the alleged stamp had been unintentional. However, the disciplinary panel disagreed with Skrtel. This means that Skrtel will miss the Premier League games at Arsenal, which is going to hold April 4th, and against Newcastle, which is supposed to hold April 13th, plus the FA Cup quarter-final replay at Blackburn. Liverpool has refused to comment on the decision taken by the committee. We thank you very much for joining us on News Now. My name is Thelma Okoro.